The following program is made possible with the support of
BB&T, best bank in town since 1872. Papa John's Pizza, better ingredients, better pizza. Cookout, hamburgers, hot dogs, and great milkshakes. ESPN 630 AM, Wilmington's all sports station. And Sunny 104.5, Wilmington's best mix while you work.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to year 15 of Sports Roundtable. I'm Marty Fuhrer. Once again this year, we will give you a unique perspective of all of our four area New Hanover County high school football programs through the eyes of their head coach, Greg Dietz over at Laney, Kevin Motzinger over at New Hanover. Of course, it's Scott Braswell over at Hoggard and Tom Eanes over at Ashley. And Coach, 1-1 early on. I know going into the year you said depth was going to be an issue. 500 so far. Talk a little bit about life.
Well, depth definitely is the issue with us. We've tried to work the kids a lot harder to overcome that, but when you're playing the good teams that we're going to be playing, when they're able to rest their kids on both sides of the ball, it really wears on our kids. But they've responded and tried to do as good as they can because, if the other kids don't want to play, they don't want to play. But I've been real happy with their effort and what they've done. Attitude's been a little bit better, and so we're just trying to get better and improve.
Okay, two games we'll take a look at. Open up with the victory at home against Hoke, and then of course Swansboro. Talk a little bit about the Hoke game.
Well, I thought the Hoke game. I thought we came out and played like we wanted to try and win a ball game. I was real pleased with the effort and the preparation that they made, getting ready. And Hoke had sort of, last year really put a lot of points on us. The year before was a little bit closer, but they are very athletic and big. And so I didn't know if we could handle both those combinations together, but it really helped us, I think, playing at home, not having to make that trip. And then with the weather, they had to go back home. So we had some advantages that way. But I thought Saturday for us to have the lead, hold on to the lead, and win. I don't know we'd have done that all the time in the past. So the kids showed a little bit of character to do that. Okay,
let's take a look at some highlights then if we can. First of all, let's start with that home victory, as you mentioned. This is Hoke and Ashley.
Right, it's Anthony Andrews stripping the ball out. We got them to turn the ball over 7 or 8 times, so we did a good job. I thought Coach Adams and the defensive staff did a good job of just playing, making them bleeding slowly and doing the right things. I was real tickled to death with that because offensively we're still trying to find ourselves. That's Charles Dent on the first touchdown. Charles he's been a real pleasure to coach. I wish he'd have stayed healthy, but it didn't work out that way. And this is, once again, defensively, Anthony Andrews picking up a fumble that time. But we had a lot of turnovers, and that was just trying to use Charles and his speed and get him on the corner. Sort of a wildcat package, I guess. And there again, we calls a fumble, and this Anthony Boone picks up this fumble. Thought we got good line play from the guys up front defensively. Frankie Keller and Oliver Gibson and Anthony Boone. And this is switching to Saturday when we came back. Once again, I think our defense did a real good job. We had a few option plays that broke for us. This Chris Kane here on the run, and we got some production out of him and our fullback, and so Charles was able to get a few plays here too. But
how unique was it preparation-wise to have the lead stop and come back the next day and have to pick up from there?
It was a long night, Friday night, because I stayed up all night thinking all the things we did wrong and how to try and fix it and make it better. But it was a different situation. It was a long 20 hours to get a victory. So, and there again, this is Charles Dent. We're really going to miss having him again. He's got to play 3 ball games in the last 2 years, and for him to break that same ankle, it was really sad. This is Mike Rowland, a newcomer on the team. We got him out this year, and Mike had a pick and I think a fumble recovery. And our kids were real excited to be able to get to do that.
It was nice to see the victory formation, huh? At Swansboro.
This is Swansboro. They got some good, fine young people. This is D.C. Russ, a sophomore wide receiver for us, that made that catch. And we're playing better defense this year. I'm just real pleased with that. And that's Anthony Andrews. Ant started back there for us last year and starts at linebacker, who plays just about every position on the field for us. That's Ant again carrying the ball off a triple and messed a block there on the outside, I see. But we're still trying to find ourselves. I don't think we're there offensive line-wise as good as we have been at certain times. So we've got to improve on that. But, Jesse Jewell's taking over for Quincy and at fullback, and Jesse, I think, is going to be a real good player for us. Frankie Keller, of course, is our returning leader and captain of the football team. We've been real pleased with him. But this young man is going to Penn State. He's a good football player at number 1. And that's Bruce Kopka with the interception there. And that's Daniel Andrews that made that sweep right there for us. So.
Okay. After 2 weeks of play, what have you learned about this group?
Well, it's one that we've got to come to play every week. We're not as talented, so we've got to, bring our lunch pail with us and be ready to work, because we aren't going to walk out there and just put our hats out there and win a ball game. We're going to have to take a good effort. I think the first game when the defense got all those turnovers for us, it made it a lot easier because then we didn't have to go as far. So I think we got to have good defensive play and improve offensively from where we are right now. But we got to come ready to play because, we're still an improving football team.
You're on the road this week.
Yes, sir. We're at Fairmont.
Talk a little bit about that. I know they'll throw the ball, they'll throw the ball again.
We'll probably be in about 2 o'clock in the morning. They do throw it. I think out of 49 plays the other day I was watching, they threw it 45 out of the 49. It's not that they can't run the ball. They throwing the little screens out there and letting their athletes run. And so we've got to do a good job corralling them and making them go 80 yards rather than giving them a short field. And make it in one play. We got to make it 10 plays if we can. Try and slow them down.
Now obviously you like to run the ball
yes,
more
sir.
than some programs. How have you seen high school football change? It used to be that they didn't throw the ball that much. Now it's almost like run's the second option.
Oh, it is. I think everybody's throwing it around more, and because you see it on TV, they're doing it a lot more. So that's what everybody wants to do. Then that's fine. I hope they just don't totally change the game to the point it gets to be just 7-on-7, and because we're already having to start wearing tags and pulling them out because we can't hit anybody. So I hope the whole game doesn't totally change. But when I was growing up, I was a quarterback myself, and I actually was a passer, not a runner. I couldn't run a lick. So it's just evolved around. I always had kids that could run triple better than I had somebody just sit back there and throw it. So I think it's great if, Coach Dietz and he'll have the guys that can do it. I just, right now, do not have anybody that can do that. Someday maybe I will. So.
Okay. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
When we come back, a look at Hoggard. Stay with us. Welcome back to the program. Let's take a look at the Hoggard Vikings out to a 2-0 start. And Scott, interesting dynamic for you. You've got a number of young players on the offensive side on key positions, and it seems like your defense early is allowing you to settle a little bit on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, I think our defensive front's really outstanding. We've got 4 guys there we feel really good about. Malik Moore is a dominant force inside. Kyle Delaney and Devin Bond do a great job kind of on the edge as defensive ends. Tyler Beeson's a guy that we moved from offensive line to defense. He's a heavy load, kind of a plugger type of kid. So I think those 4 guys are probably as good as we'll see, and we have to go against them in practice all the time, and hopefully along the way that's going to help that young offensive line grow up. And those guys have really done a good job of, I think, taking some pressure off of our secondary and our linebacking core, just because they're able to be pretty dominant up front and get to the quarterback, and quarterbacks feel a little hurried and can't go through all their progression sometimes, or wait for that guy to get open as long, because we've got good pressure on them.
Okay, let's take a look at some highlights.
Sounds good.
2 road games to open the year, and you start at South Columbus.
Yeah, this is at South Columbus. There's a quick little screen to Harrison Smith. This is Austin Schonleiber. We had a little shotgun snapping issues there. This is Randall Emerson, wide out. This quick little screen takes us down. I think this is first quarter. This first play, maybe the second quarter. And Kevin Thompson takes it in for a touchdown. This is later in the second quarter. Kevin makes a guy miss and goes in for a second score. I think Kevin maybe had 4 touchdowns. I'm not sure. Here's Austin doing a great job avoiding contact, getting out to Trevor Brown. Trevor takes it down, good yardage, gets it into South Columbus territory. Here's Austin throwing to Luke Ward, kind of a 4 verts thing. Luke does a good job of hauling it in traffic. Here's a little kind of sprint out draw deal that Austin takes down for, or excuse me, Kevin takes down for a touchdown. This is third quarter action, kind of a little counter power deal, and Kevin's able to take it in for a touchdown. I think that was maybe his 4th touchdown, I'm not sure. Yeah, Austin, Sean Lever's a kid who came to us this summer late and has really developed. He's doing a good job, I think, running the ball and on his feet, making plays for us. Here's Kevin in the third quarter, maybe, third or fourth quarter. I think it's third quarter. He didn't play the fourth quarter. So third quarter action, driving it down. We had about a 1 hour delay with the lightning this night. This is Austin taking it in, a little speed option keeper. Defensively doing a good job. Again, those guys up front that I mentioned earlier, playing good football. There's Malik there, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Malik's little brother is also on the varsity with us. Again, great pressure from that front. You can kind of see how they get after it. Devin Bond and those guys. This is at Irmo on Saturday, or excuse me, at Myrtle Beach on Saturday. Great pressure. We got down early, did not play well early, made a ton of mistakes, and yet just kept battling. So a lot of pride in the way the guys fought through some adversity. Part of the adversity was things that were self-inflicted. Part of the adversity was the heat, which on that turf was pretty tough at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Kirk Messick there closing well, knocking down a completion. Kevin had a little collarbone deal, so he only played about, 4 or 5 carries. This is Sonny Cooper taking it down. Sonny finished with over 80 yards rushing, so really proud of the way he stepped up and did a good job. Here's Xavier Johnson, sophomore quarterback. Nice play, Harrison Smith. Obviously probably not the correct read, but a good throw and an even better play by Harrison. Here's Xavier again, really proud of the way he steps up in the pocket here, throws the ball deep, one-on-one. Randall Emerson does a good job of going up and getting it. Again, all those 7-on-7s we went to, I think, paid off. Defensively, got some guys in there right now. We end up 8-quartering quite a few young guys, and we finished the game with 3 of them on the field defensively. It was amazing the job those guys did playing football. Here's Hashim Michelle, great play, just moved him to linebacker here recently. Again, Malik and Devin and Kyle Delaney. I'm not sure if that was Devin or Kyle. Here we are, they're punting out of the end zone, botch a snap. Gaddafi Turner comes up with it. And this is third quarter action here. And so I think that makes it like 22-17 on that score there, if I'm not mistaken. Again, Devin Bond was named player of the game, or MVP, whatever they call it. Got a little plaque. There's Kyle Delaney. We knocked out their quarterback for a few plays, and this is kind of their backup guy. Got Devin kind of spying. Devin Bond makes a play on a little swing pass. 10-yard on defense gave us that short field that Coach Eames was just talking about. Here's Xavier on a little bootleg. Got this guy, Trevor Singleton, out from the basketball team, and he's still trying to figure out football, but he's got a chance to be a good one. We just got to make it happen a little bit faster. Here's Xavier again, big third down completion to Harrison Smith. A lot of things we got to clean up offensively. Pass protection being one of them. Here's Sonny Cooper again. Remember Sheldon's little brother. Here's Xavier throwing, again, a 4-cut there to Randall Emerson. Defensively, though, just outstanding football, man. The way they played in the third and fourth quarter was just incredible, particularly with the number of guys. At one point, we had 4 JV players on the field, and they're pitching a shutout. It's a great job. Here's Kirk Messick going up, making a pick that more or less seals the game. We were able to run out the clock from there, and just very fortunate to get out of there. Made a lot of mistakes, hopefully stuff we can learn from and correct. But I was really proud of the way the guys showed some resilience. We went into the game kind of a man down with some injuries, and then to have a couple guys go out. We had at one point 2 linebackers down. We had a DB down, our starting tailback down, and so we were really just trying to plug holes there for a little while and hang in there. And we weathered the storm, and we were able to kind of settle down and settle in. And again, great defensive play in the second half, and able to kind of make our way back and win 24-22.
Home opener Friday night.
Yeah, happy to get home and play at Hoggard Stadium. Playing Purnell Sweat, good-looking team on tape. We have tape against them, against Pine Forest and Red Springs, and obviously a good group of athletes. I have a lot of respect for Coach Howell and the job he does up there and their staff, and it's going to be a challenge for us. It's no time to pat ourselves on the back, and hopefully after the film session yesterday, the guys know we got to work hard and get better.
Okay, so the Vikings at home this coming Friday, 7:30 kickoff, and we'll continue right after this. Well, the Laney Bucks are 1-1 after the first 2 weeks of the season. A victory against Pender and a tough loss against Rose. Greg Dietz alongside. Talk a little bit about when you go into a season, when you go into your non-conference schedule. What are some of the things, especially with a young football team like you have this year, what are some of the things that you want to accomplish or see as a coaching staff?
Well, things we want to accomplish, we definitely want to play a couple really good football teams. And some other things we talked about trying to accomplish is just cutting down on the bus ride. We were trying to get our kids, we think it's hard for kids to stay focused when they have to drive 2.5 hours. We don't want them to miss a class time. It just makes it a little easier Friday night if you can cut down on bus time. So we tried to accomplish that. Only having one real long road game this year would be going to New Bern, and they're a great football team. So, right. We got that, and then we got Rose also on our schedule, who's a good football team, and we were fortunate enough to get them, opposite, one of them home, one of them away, so we only have to make one of those bus trips each time. So I believe we got everything that we wanted to get accomplished, and we have a pretty tough non-conference schedule.
Scheduling is becoming tougher and tougher, isn't it? Especially for schools here in the eastern part, where you've got to, a lot of times you've got to jump on a bus one way or another.
Yeah, we're a 4A school, so it's tough to find other 4A schools that are close around here. So we try to find, if a smaller school is willing to play, as long as they have a decent program. The year before that, we try to get into those things. And like the Pender game, I know that they beat Wallace the first game of the playoffs last year. They're definitely a little down this year, but it used to be a rival at Laney, so we were trying to get that going again.
Okay, Greg, let's talk a little bit about the Pender game. You come out with a quick start. You put 40-some points on the board before the game. Really kind of just turns into playing through the clock. Talk a little bit about some of the individuals, some of the things that you saw on tape that you were really pleased with.
Well, first of all, I was pleased with Pender. They didn't give up. It was 48-0 going into halftime. They came back and put 24 points on us, and we didn't score the rest of the game. So they did a great job of, staying mentally focused and going after us, in the second half. First half, we executed pretty well. We had a couple holding penalties on the receiving squad, but other than that, we executed and went through and did what we needed to do. Sometimes, though, against a team that's maybe not of your talent level, you find yourself making the wrong reads and just throwing the deep ball instead of going through the proper check down procedures. And I think that hurt us a little bit in Rose. We weren't really ready for that good defense, that solid defense, and knowing, alignment assignment and who we should be getting the ball to. So that took away a little bit from us in Rose. But overall, the Pender game, offensively and defensively and special team-wise, we played really well.
Now, this is the second year for your quarterback as far as being his program, his team. Talk a little bit about the jump from year one to year two and what you expect.
He made that jump late summer. He wasn't doing what he needed to do, but he just decided that he wanted to be that leader late summer. He decided he was going to dedicate the rest of the time that he had there to what he wanted to do, which was try to win a conference championship, try to win a state title, and he's decided to take that upon himself to try to lead these kids. Knowing we have some younger kids, we have younger kids both sides of the football, and offensively that's tough for him to deal with because he's used to throwing to his cousin last year, Carlos and R.J. Pearsall, and the Miller kid, Nehemiah Miller last year, and big play potential on every single play.
And they knew where they were supposed to be.
And they knew exactly where they were going to be. Now this year he's got to tell more guys where they need to be, where what route they're running, and he's taking that upon himself, and he's doing a great job of that. The only thing we struggled a little bit in Rose, we give him freedom to make checks in certain situations, and he's checking to maybe last year's play when we had that big play potential, on second and long or something like that, instead of maybe just running the play and trying to get a couple yards. But those are all things that we can learn from, and I'm excited to have that kid back. There's points in the summer where it was a struggle every day just to see where his mind was, and he's very young for even a sophomore, just turning 16, and just kind of, with some of his past and stuff like that, just trying to mature into a great individual that I think he's going to be. So we're excited about the steps that he's making right now.
So week one, you run up and down the field. Week 2, 6-3, total contrast. Defenses dominate. And especially for you defensively, while this offense catches up a little bit, you've got to be pleased with that effort.
Yeah, Colt didn't play well against Pender. He was sitting there texting me a couple times, just, man, I'm sorry, coach, I'm better than that and stuff. And we knew that would come. He was a little rusty. Some things he had to do this summer, to sit out. But once he settled in the Rose game, you could just tell he was the best athlete on the field. And I know they have what you call a 4-star, 5-star recruit on the other side of the football, but I believe our kid stood out a lot more than any other kid on the football field. And Colt was just flying around, and he was being that guy that we kind of expect to do those things. And he had an unbelievable game, but he just raises everybody else's level of play, and everybody on defense just did a great job. Because when we watched the Rose film, I thought we were in trouble. They had team speed everywhere. The quarterback was quick. The receivers were quick. They ran the screens well. I thought we were going to be in trouble defensively. So, offensively, we game plan to try to keep them off the field. Well, they did a great job. We put them in some tough situations with 3 different turnovers, and the defense stepped up and made some big plays.
Okay, so after 2 weeks, as you head into your next contest, what's your take on this team? What's your feeling on this team?
Well, I don't know. This week of practice is going to be a big week of practice, and this game we're gonna find out. Once you get hit in the mouth, sometimes some kids don't respond the right way. Some kids they want to point fingers and blame some other people, and then some kids just like, all right, now I know I need to start listening. I know I need to do these certain things, and it's just tough for some young kids to realize offensively we got to grow together. We have some guys hurt, and we're just a different type of offense than we have been in the past few years.
And Clinton's at your place, 7:30. Physical team, they're going to run the ball.
Yeah, they're going to run the ball, so it'll be a good test for our defense. Rose kind of spread us out and then try to run the ball, but just try to get an open space to run the football. Clinton's going to put you in the box and say, try to hit you in the mouth and see who's going to come out on top there.
Clinton at Laney, 7:30 this Friday night. When we come back, a look at New Hanover. Stay with us. And welcome back to the program. Let's continue on now as we take a look at New Hanover, and interesting schedule for you, where a lot of people have played 2. You've played 1 on the road, 8 o'clock start in South Carolina.
Yes,
for a young football team, what did you learn from that trip?
Learn to schedule the buses even earlier.
I knew something was coming.
Oh, yes, sir. We take charter buses on long trips everywhere we go, and that's for the community and the people that support Wildcat football. That's been great for us and our program. We did it all last year, and we'll do it again this year. But they had something happen, and so we're about 37 minutes leaving, and I think hindsight's 20/20, but I wish they wouldn't have showed up. I say that joking, but we don't know what we've learned. Hopefully down the road we'll find out. I've told everybody we lost 43 seniors, and a lot of, how everybody thinks coaches talk and all that stuff, but people in this town ought to know me by now to know I'm shoot it straight. I ain't smart enough to make up anything, and we're a young football team. Right now, we are a very talented JV team. I think we'd win the state championship on Thursday night right now. Saturday in Myrtle Beach, we had 6 kids on that field that had played in a varsity game, and it showed. That's a very big stage. All the recruiters and recruiting services that were there, and that's why we fought to get in that. We want to promote our kids, promote our program, and get in that situation, and all of a sudden open kickoff, we fumble that. Then all of a sudden some other things happen, some turnovers, and it just kind of snowballed. And being a young team, all those JV kids, they were undefeated. And last year, I don't know, other than one game, did they have even any conflict. And so we didn't handle that very well. Hopefully, and you never really know if they learned it or not, but hopefully they learned how to handle conflict. That was the only thing we talked about in South Carolina in the locker room was, when things went down, we put our head down. And that was, they interviewed me at halftime as we come in. I apologized to our fans that drove all the way down there, for the way we played in that first half. And talking to the kids afterwards, that concerned me, because life is so hard. You can't put your head down. We had, holy smoke, that first half, about anything bad could have happened, it did. And, we kind of put our heads down a little bit. And then start the second half, they run the kickoff back. So, we didn't ever get that opportunity to see how we would respond, because I felt like the kids had regrouped. I felt like we were focused, and we were going to come back and battle like Wildcats do. And then we kick off and he runs it back. And so that kind of took it out of us. But, you know, what a great group of kids. They've been so coachable. It's important to them. They understand what being a Wildcat is and everything that goes with that. And, you know, we've got a very brutal and, I mean, legitimate. I mean, this Friday night, Wilson Hunt, it's going to be live on Time Warner Cable statewide. You know, they've won at least 12 football games every year for the last 5 years. The last 3 years they've lost one, and that was to the state championship out of Guilford County. They're very talented. And talking to Wilson Hunt guys, you know, they're tired of hearing about New Bern and New Hanover.
Sure.
They want to be in that mix as far as being in one. And I mean, so they come calling, and our kids need to understand that. And they wanted to. Our first 3 games are on the road. We, you know, couldn't find a game. That first week off really hurt us. I felt like we were getting some momentum going into the Jamboree. We played extremely well. That following week of practice was miserable. And then we came back in after that break when everybody else was playing. Our kids looked depressed. And I think, you know, they're reading in the paper about this kid and that kid in this school, and, you know, we're not playing football. And I think that hurt us. We've got to get our swagger back, our confidence back, and get hungry.
You mentioned the young kids coming up from JV. Physically, it's a much different game once you play on Friday nights, and you'll play a very physical team with Hunt.
Yes, sir. I mean, that was South Carolina rules must be a little bit different. North Carolina rules had 3 or 4 punches thrown, this, that, and other, and our kids handled it real well. And, you know, but it's like we talked about yesterday at practice. You know, I'm not telling our kids to retaliate, but you can't back down. And I think, you know, when those situations happen in the game, we back down. And that, in the game of life, in the game of football, you can't back down. You know, for our kids, I mean, they got $375 helmet. You know, for a lot of those kids, they got $350 pair of shoulder pads. And you strap it on and put your mouthpiece in, button all 4 straps, and, you know, you can play dirty all you want, and we were going to hit you in the mouth, and we did not do that. And, you know, that is a concern, something that was addressed all day at practice yesterday and will be addressed again today. Wilson Hunt's going to line up with their stud fullback. There's about 3 of them. They're going to put that safety that's committed to NC State at tailback. They're going to take the kid that right now looks like he's committed to LSU, and they got some studs, and they're going to line up and hit us in our mouth. And if we do not handle that and we do not respond, we're going to be in trouble. And our kids understand that. We're going to continue to get better. And if, you know, health-wise, if we can stay healthy in non-conference, and, you know, then we can make some noise when we get to conference and into the real season of playoffs.
I was about to say, in the 30 seconds that we have left, with this team's makeup, your non-conference goals, what you want to, where you want to be at the end of non-conference, it's probably different from past years.
But last year was a little bit different.
Yeah.
I mean, with that group, we wanted to be undefeated
From day one.
From day one,
Yeah.
we stepped out and said we want to be the team to beat, and let's run the gauntlet all the way to the state championship. And we fell short of that, and there was a team that was a little bit better than us. We had to play them twice, and they beat us both times. This year, we knew we were young coming in. We've got to grow up, and we've got some tremendous kids. We've got some very talented young men, but we just got to learn how to play Friday nights. And we're going to be more than fine. We're going to have a very good football team when it's all said and done. But right now, we're in the short rows, and we got to get a lot better before Friday.
Okay, and again, that'll be New Hanover at Wilson Hunt, and that's coming up this Friday night. That's our program for this time through. We'll have complete highlights for you next time right here on Sports Roundtable. Good night, everybody.